Yeah, it's Bottom Peeps, Stufflegend797 here today to talk about stall and counterplay that has developed both to deal with stall and to handle the Pokemon that deal with stall. Now, for a quick rundown of what a stall team may look like, let's see. This stall team, or it may look like it has some offense, and yes, it does have a fair amount of, or not really even a fair amount, but an okay amount of offense with Life Orb, a Starmie, which a lot of people would switch out something like, they'd switch out Thunderbolt or Ice Beam for Rapid Spin and slap Boots on it. So you don't have to worry about hazards, but I did not think I needed it on this team, but most stall teams only run one or two offensive Pokemon, in this case two. And along with that, the rest of their team is completely defensive. So the Clef core is extremely important, especially in Pokebilities. One of those two are three of the best Pokemon in the metagame. The only one of the three that is not in this team is Reuniclus, but very basic stall team. You have and of course, Galarian Slowbro, one of the anchors with future sight to try to force switches and rack up hazard damage. Wait, do we even have hazards on this team? Oh god, I don't. Well, yeah, that just shows you that I often forget to think when team building, but yeah, just put hazard somewhere on here so future sight can be used to the best capability, but you get what I'm saying. Basic stall team, but one Pokemon that really has risen to beat a lot of stall is Toxtricity. Now, Toxtricity, of course, it is known for being extremely powerful with Punk Rock and the 114 special attack with a Stab Boom Burst. With a Stab Overdrive, Boom Burst, Sludge Bomb and Sludge Wave also being stabbed, momentum maintaining capability with Volt Switch, and even some nice coverage in Drain Punch for Blissey and Tyranitar, and Snarl. And in Pokebilities, specifically Snarl gets powered up to 82 power when rounded down, because Technician activates before Punk Rock. This has been tested before and I can confirm. So that gives it one more extremely useful move, especially like, let's say, a Assault Vest Reuniclus switches in. That just gives you a perfect opportunity to fire off a Snarl on the predict of the switch in, hitting it for a ton, and then hitting it a second time for the KO. But oftentimes, even despite how good Snarl can be on Toxtricity, it will often pass up just because it needs to hit the core of Clefable and Corviknight, so Overdrive and Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave are musts. And then Boom Burst is overall just extremely powerful. One of the best coverage moves. It only does not hit 3 types super effectively, which Drain Punch hits 2 of those, but like I said, it really dropped Drain Punch. But Overdrive is going to do neutral damage to everything that resists Boom Burst, so the combination of those two is extremely potent. However, you see that Toxtricity, it does have a lot of room where it could pop off if given the right opportunity, but it does have its issues. Of course, it will have to choose between Snarl, Drain Punch, and Volt Switch, because the other 3 moves are pretty much mandatory. But if you skip out on Snarl, then you can't hit the bulky Psychics like Reuniclus, like Bronzong. If you skip out on Drain Punch, you can't hit Blissey or Tyranitar, which are absolutely huge. If you switch out, if you get rid of Volt Switch, or sorry, if you choose Volt Switch, you get the momentum, but at the same time, you both lose to Blissey and Tyranitar, and then all the bulky Psychics as well, because you can't even do a lot of damage to them before switching out, or if they're slow hitting them again. So that makes it really rough for Toxtricity. You have to choose your moves very carefully. However, I was scrolling through Pokemon the other day, making a team, and I found one specific Pokemon that is nearly a complete counter to Toxtricity. Kommo-o. Now, the reason for this... Oh, Kommo-o gets Earthquake. It has high special defense and pretty high defense. Actually, that's not the reason. The reason comes down to its abilities. Soundproof and Bulletproof. Now, Soundproof... Okay. Soundproof will block everything that is a sound-based move. Boom Burst, Overdrive, and Snarl all get completely just nullified with it. Okay, so that's its two main damage-dealing moves done. But what about Sludge Bomb? Nope, Bulletproof? Okay. So Sludge Bomb won't hit. So then you go to Volt Switch. Okay, you can Volt Switch out, but you're still not doing much damage. And you have to switch out. Because, like, you can't even try to lower its special attack by hitting it on the switch in with Snarl because soundproof. And you really like the 30% chance to poison on the Sludge Bomb, but if you want to hit Kommo-o, you have to use Sludge Wave. You have no other option. Sludge Wave and Volt Switch are your only options to hit, and sure, there may be some ways to play around it, like Thunder Wave or Toxic plus Hex, but if you're using Hex in one of those two, then that's already giving up two of your move slots that are mandatory to make this Pokemon work, so it's really just not a good decision in any sense of the term. It's one of the worst decisions you can make because you're doing this just to try to beat one Pokemon that would otherwise completely counter you instead of building a team where Toxtricity gets teammates that can deal with Kommo-o. And sure, Toxtricity's Sludge Wave, yeah, that's amazing. Sludge Wave will hit Kommo-o really hard. But the 30% chance compared to the 10% chance is absolutely massive. It's essentially a 1 in 10 chance compared to a 1 in 3 chance. And the difference between that is monumental, considering that poison does the same damage as as switching into Stealth Rock if the target is neutral. And yes, it has an immunity and steel types. But at the same time, that doesn't change the fact that anything else that you hit with a poison type move, or anything that can be hit other than poison types, can be poisoned unless it has immunity or Poison Heal isn't Engine 8 because Gliscor and Breloom aren't. But you get what I'm saying. The poison, being able to add on that much chip damage every turn because a 1 in 3 chance is absolutely massive, and it's a trade-off, because you lose a lot of that potential extremely valuable chip damage, but you get the slightest bit more damage on hit. It's a trade-off, yes, but Sludge Bomb overall is better if it's other than specifically Kommo-o. And I could see Toxtricity starting to run Sludge Wave specifically for Kommo-o because there's no other fully evolved Pokemon that has Bulletproof other than Chestnut, which is not in the game currently. Oh, I'm stupid. Double. But no one cares about Double. It's not even good, so... Yeah, Kommo is the only viable Pokemon that gets bulletproof, so a lot of people would just completely forget about that in the team building process, but if you do, then you just get completely countered by the Pokemon. However, like let's say you're really okay. Let's say a Choice Specs Blacephalon is at full health. It switches in to Stealth Rock, and it takes the 25%. Then you hit it with Sludge Bomb for around, I'm just going to spat out a random number, 14. Okay, so that is 39%, but the Sludge Bomb poisons, and you get the 12.5% extra damage. So that means on the switch in, it got the 25% from rocks, the 14% from Sludge Bomb, and I'll round it down to 12% from poison. Ugh. Let's see. 20, 39 plus 12. Let's see, 39 plus 10, 49. That is 51% just from one turn. Like, it jumps from 39% to 51% from one single turn of poison damage, which is absolutely monumental and hitting ranges that a Pokemon may otherwise not hit. And that's just one example that may not even happen. It's not even too likely. Like, let's say you predict an Alolan Ninetales lead on a Hail team because, duh, it's a Hail team, or Hyper Offense team because they like Aurora Veil. And normally, Alolan Ninetales, because it is faster, may be able to survive 2 hits. I'm not completely sure about that. But actually, that's not the best example either, but Blissey, okay, that's a good example. Blissey, like, it does not take hazard damage anymore because they always run heavy duty boots until it gets knocked off. However, if you were able to poison it and make it take that 12% every turn, that pretty much forces a switch out because it makes it get whittled down much faster and makes it use its soft-boiled PP much more than it would like to simply to fight off a poison. And that's one of the main reasons why Magic Guard is so useful on Pokemon like Clefable and Reunic, to stave off that chip damage. So that's being able to poison much more with Sludge Bomb is extremely important, and just losing that specifically to hit one Pokemon only, it's a lot to give up in a game when you could be doing so much more just by increasing a chance to get a secondary effect by 20%. So, Toxtricity is still amazing against a lot of stall teams. It is an extremely strong breaker in every sense of the word, but when it hits a Kommo-o, it really needs some sort of support. Thankfully, there is a ton of support in literally most fairy types to ever exist, but at the same time, have a situation where the best you can do is get momentum and Volt Switch. Sure, that momentum is great, but when the Pokemon infinitely walls you, essentially, it's not good at all. Like, and let's say Toxtricity has Drain Punch to hit Blissey and Tyranitar for some reason. A lot of Kommo-os don't even run leftovers, and they instead run Rocky Helmet, which means they'd be doing even more damage to Toxtricity than otherwise, because think about it, most Toxtricities run Choice Specs to increase the power of their moves and become an even more dangerous wall breaker than otherwise. So they're still taking the 12.5 damage from Stealth Rock if it's set up, and then they're taking a 16% from Rocky Helmet. So that goes from 12% to 28%, which is massive. You do that 4 times, Toxtricity is gone, and there's nothing you can do about it, which is absolutely huge considering the fact that Kommo-o can pretty easily just repeatedly switch in on Toxtricity, trying to throw off those drain punches, because what is it going to do? Sludge Wave, which it rarely even carries? Like, definitely if it is carrying Sludge Wave, yeah, that's going to be the best thing you can do. But at the same time, since most don't, it's just such a risky and unfavorable move that it's unlikely to happen, and their best bet is probably just a Volt Switch out if they even have it, because they're most likely giving up Volt Switch if they're taking Drain Punch. So I could see a lot of Kommo-o rising on stall, specifically to deal with Toxtricity, because Kommo-o is an ironclad counter to one of the best stall breaking Pokemon, or just not even stall breaking, but just raw wall breaking as well, and Toxtricity, which means that, sure, Alola Marowak is still able to do amazing, but without Toxtricity being as good at breaking, and with the Pokemon being able to completely stop it in its tracks, the Alola and Tox Core may not end up doing the best. I hope you guys learned a bit about the adaptation for the stall metagame and Pokebilities when it comes to countering it, and adaptations to the counter. And if you want to know how, right before I go, if you want to know how I find these things so quickly, or not so quickly, but so often, I just spend a lot of time scrolling through Pokemon while team building and theory crafting. I just theory craft a lot, and that's how I come up with the ideas that I have most of the time. That's why I'm able to analyze everything so deeply, because I spend way too much time theory crafting and looking into everything to see what does this, what can counter this, how can I make it to where it doesn't counter this, but instead is a detriment instead of a benefit. If you want to learn more, team building is going to be one of the best ways, because the more you look into different Pokemon, the more you will learn about them. Anyways, guys, sorry for all the stuttering. I just have a ton of issues with that, with my autism. It's hard when I'm even doing it right now. It's just rough to come up with the words that I need sometimes, so I apologize about my stuttering, especially in the last few videos. Anyway, this has been TAFLegend77, and I'm out of the house. Bye.